Hello, everyone. My name's Dawn Wages. You are watching the Numerically Speaking live. This is an Anaconda hosted live stream, and we're going to be returning every second Friday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for joining. We have a jam-packed event today. We're going to be talking all things Conda with the Anaconda team. We'll start out by disambiguating Anaconda and the Conda ecosystem. We'll talk about the Conda roadmap, and we get to have two of our full-time OSS engineering and product employee team members who are assigned to Conda to talk about the latest and greatest. I have some friends behind the scene who are going to be bringing up comments in our internal chat. So please keep track of the content, the comments. Talk to us on YouTube, and this is an interactive event. So I'd love to get to know you more and know what you care about in the Conda ecosystem. All right, let's bring up my guests. First, I'd like to introduce Dasha. Hey, Dasha.
Hi.
Want to do a little introduction?
Yes. Hi, Dawn. Thanks for having me. My name is Dasha. I am a product manager at Anaconda, and I am supporting the open source Conda project. I actually used to be an open source community manager at Anaconda, working to support Conda community as well. I got to hear every opinion there is to how things should work about Conda. So these days, my role is to take all that input from users, maintainers, ecosystem partners, and orgs, and to find common threads in all that feedback and transform it so it's helpful for maintainers team to actually prioritize and work on.
Awesome. Cool. Yay! I'm so excited you're here. Thanks so much for agreeing to join. And it's the first live stream, so you get to be a little bit of a guinea pig. And I appreciate that. So I appreciate it. All right, let's bring in Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dawn. How are you doing?
I'm great. Would you do the honors of giving us a little bit of an intro, a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'd love to. Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Yeaw. I'm an engineering manager for open source software at Anaconda. I've been here about a year, but just more recently joined working on Conda. So I lead a team of about 7 open source software engineers who full-time get to work on the Conda CLI. And I'm calling in from Michigan. That's where I live. So, hey, Don, it's really nice to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't do the locations. I'm in Philly. I'm in Eastern time zone. Dasha, where are you calling in from?
Los Angeles, Pacific.
Okay, so now I'm really jealous of your weather. Anyway, so thanks so much. Let's dive in. So my job here is really to keep us on time, interact with the audience who are hopefully actively adding things to the chat. If you aren't catching us live and you still want to interact with us, please make sure you join the Conda Zulip. That's where a lot of the conversations are happening with the ecosystem and the community these days. You'll definitely see Dasha posting on there frequently. I try to get on there as much as I can. And you can also respond to the comments of this video. There's many ways you can reach out to us, the Anaconda forum, but really number one, for all of the things we're talking about today, reach out to us on the Conda Zulip. So let's jump into the first question. And you all can fight on who talks about it first. What is the relationship between Anaconda and the Conda community?
I can start. So that's a very good question. I think an important one to clarify, because we do hear in the community there is still sometimes confusion about this, how things work there. So just to set the stage and record straight, Conda ecosystem is a fully community governed organization. There is a formal multi-stakeholder governance model defined, and I believe I added a link to governance docs.
In the show notes.
Yes, and at the center of the governance model is what we call Conda Steering Council. That's the main governing body, and it's made up of people from different organizations or groups or individual contributors, right? Who participate in the development in any way or support of Conda community. And so all major decisions, for example, in the ecosystem go through what we call Conda enhancement proposals or SEPs, which are discussed and voted in public by steering council members. So this is just to set the stage. And Anaconda in this governance model is one of many contributing orgs. We also represented in a steering council are our maintainers. And when I say we're one of many, there is too many to name, and I will just name a few. I don't want to forget anyone. I'm sorry, but some among them include like Quansight, prefix.dev, Quantstack, NVIDIA, Conda Forge community, BioConda community, the large channels and small channels, and countless individual maintainers. You don't have to be like a part of some work, right? And so each brings their own perspective, their own strong suits to create this puzzle, which is Conda ecosystem, really. And I think that diversity is what keeps it healthy and balanced.
Yeah. And to take a step back a bit, I mean, it's hard to understand how big the Conda ecosystem actually is. I mean, we have tens of millions of users conservatively who are using Conda specifically and are accessing via Conda Forge or Anaconda default distribution, which we maintain. So it does make sense why a governance structure, an open source governance structure, which many times people don't even think about when they're just accessing our tools on the command line, are behind the scenes putting a lot of effort and energy and care into maintaining that ecosystem that supports their projects.
Right.
Thanks so much for going into that. I think it's been a learning curve over the last decade of mine. Getting into open source, learning about open source governance, and we get to wonk out on some open source governance things in our channels. So I appreciate that. Dan, do you have anything to add?
I think that's great, Don. I mean, yeah, it's so great to be able to work with the community. Yeah, the 50 million users using Conda and the millions of users using Conda Forge kind of builds this community, and having the governance there to support everyone's really good. So.
Yeah. And Dan, you have a background in other ecosystems where there's other types of governance structures. Just as a shout out, because it's always cool to learn about what's going on with you and your background and how you got here. What other ecosystems have you been involved in?
Well, before I joined the Conda team, I was involved in other open source projects at Anaconda, and they all had their own individual governance structures. So like Jupyter and the Beware project and others. But before that, I was at Ford Motor Company. I led something called functional safety, which is ensuring software and electronics are safe. And that had not I would say as much of community, but lots of input from customers on what they want from vehicles, and also there's lots of regulatory requirements. So it's kind of like a different community around cars and the safety around that and stuff like that. So
yeah. And it's really interesting. It's all about how we're organizing stakeholders, the channels at which they can input information, and then how to have a really egalitarian process of dealing with all of these different ideas. And then we get to the executing. So all of that stuff before we even get to the execution part, which is its own can of worms as well. And thanks, just to kind of double click on a thing that Dasha mentioned, that culminates to the Conda enhancement proposals. Going a little off script, but I know that there are some SEPs that we're excited about that it came out recently and may be in progress. Do you want to jump into any SEPs you'd like to shout out?
I think some of the subs I'm most excited about right now is we didn't always have these proposed standards across the community. And so like we're trying to catch up with some of the things. So we're writing enhancement proposals for things like our metadata, the repo data that you use to index and download packages. And like things like that are so like key and fundamental to how Conda works. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to standardize those things. And some of our new features that I'm sure we'll talk about, like sharded repo data, was also an enhancement proposal. Not as recently, but it's also kind of the standard way we develop new features, get alignment, and then execute the engineering for them. So.
Yeah, metadata actually gets a little bit like deep and wonky. We don't always think about the metadata as we're like users. What about you, Dasha? Any steps on your radar? Did Dan cover the coolest, the ones at the top of your list?
Oh, I mean, there is always something going on in SEPs. So I definitely, those are the SEPs is one huge source of innovation in like new features or big improvements that we eventually take on. So I don't have a specific one in mind right now, but yeah, there's like just a lot going on at any point. It's very active.
And if people want to catch up with the SEPs and all of that that's going on that Dasha was alluding to, they can find it on the Conda GitHub repo. Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. So I have a couple of questions, and then we're going to get to the demos. Just as people watching know, we are going to show a little bit of code on screen. But before we do that, I want to get into how are we collaborating with some of our partners in the ecosystem. From my vantage, I get to see prefix.dev a little bit more and Quansight these days, just because of where I am in the ecosystem and the things that I'm working on. But how do those relationships kind of manifest? What do we do, and how do we manage these relationships?
Yeah, I mean, it's so great getting to work with these community members from these different companies to innovate on new things that the community's working on. And it's not just like Conda CLI, some of the fundamental libraries, like say for Pixie, Rattler is part of the Conda ecosystem as well. So we're getting to collaborate across all these tools and get ideas across the ecosystem. And then we talked a lot about these Conda enhancement proposals, these SEPs. So that's like one of the main ways that we write down, hey, here's a proposal for, I want to add conditional dependencies to Conda so that we can say when a dependency needs to be there or not. And that doesn't exist right now. So then the whole ecosystem gets to weigh in on, hey, how would that look like, and add their thoughts and their input. And then also these are open source repositories, so the standards like GitHub of like submitting issues and getting feedback from the community that submit issues and pull requests from the core teams working on Conda or Rattler or the other libraries, but also like input from the community and pull requests from them to enhance things, which is amazing when we get those. So yeah, it's just really like collaborative, getting to work with all these groups of people, and I feel really fortunate to be able to have these technical discussions in the open with everyone and make technical decisions and make the ecosystem even better.
Yeah. And this culminates to a really, I'm sure that the roadmap is tough to wrangle. Ideas, lots of things happening in the ecosystem. And one of the things that I've been talking about on my travels and my event journeys this past year has been this higher expectation from Pythonistas in their dev tools. People expect a lot from the seamless and beautiful developer experience of their dev tools. And I know we have a roadmap that attempts to address things. I mean, there's always going to be things that people want for a delightful developer experience. talk to me a little bit more about what's on our roadmap. How do we address that, and what's coming up?
Sorry, my light just went off.
Yeah.
1 second.
I'm in a meeting. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, so you're right. At any given day or second, there is like multiple sources of things, like where we can hear user feedback or ideas for innovation or improvement, evolving workflows in the Python world itself, right? And so kind of to set the stage, how do we wrangle this? We did spend some time this year to improve how we plan development work for Conda project and also communicate it to the broader community so they can engage, right, easier. They can see what we're working on, what is the status and things, and like what to expect, and can kind of catch or interject as they, because this never stops, right? The needs and pain points and improvements ever evolving thing.
Yep.
So yeah, we did spend some time on improving that and increase transparency. We did create a public GitHub board that is called Conda Roadmap and Sprint Planning. I believe it's attached in the docs that you can go check out, and we want everyone in the community to do. There you can see.
Screen. Keep talking. I want to keep talking, but maybe we could bring it up on screen while we're chatting about it.
I can.
I think I have. Yeah, Dan, I can add your screen up.
Someone. I cannot talk and show screen.
Yes. Keep going.
Right. So the GitHub board is one way to kind of see at a glance, but still it might be a bit overwhelming for like less involved, maybe non-contributing or users. So we do start pairing this with roadmap blog posts, which we had. Our first one went out in Q4 2025 on conda.org. And again, the blog post is for each cycle, right? Quarters meant to give a bigger picture of the why these themes, what actual feature or improvement you can expect, and kind of when. Given roadmaps is a very ephemeral thing that always changing, and part of that change usually is right user feedback and all of that loop, or our capacity. Yeah, so I think I'm very excited about this. We're gonna continue doing this. We're gonna continue maintain our GitHub board. Our hope is to make the window of planning longer, right, ahead of time. And we'll continue posting this blog post where we report on progress and the plans so that anyone in the community, have a place to go and to see what's going on with Conda and maybe how they can contribute in a meaningful way, right? In active development.
I know one of the key things that we really want people to get from this stream today is that they try out sharded repo data at the top of the screen. I love that it's the first thing in our roadmap priorities, but I think a secondary call to action is for people to get involved with the Conda ecosystem if they're not already. I mean, I imagine people who are tuned into the first Anaconda live stream are probably pretty deep in the ecosystem. But if you stumbled here and you're not deep into the ecosystem and you don't know already how to get involved, you now have 3 faces of very kind people who want you to get involved, and there's more faces behind the scenes that are asking you to keep track of what's part of the infrastructure layer of your development lifecycle. Dan, as you were pulling things up, I also want to get your point of view on the roadmap and um, your interaction maybe this past year, few months that you've been working on the roadmap with the team.
Yeah, let me get off mute there. Yeah, it's been really great having the opportunity to work with Dasha and make our roadmap public so that everyone can see what we're planning, understand. Dasha really from a product standpoint has the best idea of like what the user needs and user stories are and what the priorities are, and then working with her to really understand that in depth and plan out the roadmap as a team. And then also start to break down that work with the other engineers and write technical requirements for how we might achieve that, and have debates on like what the best technical approach is. And then in addition to our roadmap, like our actual backlog, and like you can see like what we're working on this iteration. Our iterations are 2 weeks. It's all public, so you can see what we're working on. So it's been really good to do that iterative development and say what we're going to do ahead of time, and then really go after it with the engineering team and deliver these features and show everyone. So that's really good.
I love that. And as you were talking about Dasha, I like fat fingered it and made Dasha the middle of the screen. That was an accident.
Oh, okay.
Dasha is very important. And I love when Dasha's the center of the screen. But thanks so much for diving into that for me. I see the output, and I am so lucky that I get to be on a lot of the Conda planning calls internally. But I know that our audience is probably really interested in what type of work that we're doing. How big is the Conda team right now at Anaconda? I know it, but I'm sure people want to know.
Yeah, so our Conda team, including we have some engineers working directly with us from Quansight, is about, with me is about 10 people, including Dasha. So we have, 8 full-time engineers working on Conda and CLI and the surrounding ecosystem tools. With 50 million users, there's a lot to support of bug fixes and continuous improvement. And also Conda's been around for a long time, 13 years. So there's also technical debt that we need to continue to improve and refactor. But also, we're really excited that we're on this path to just continuously deliver new features and enhancements to make everyone's life better. So being able to, I'm so lucky to be able to work with that team of engineers that, Anaconda's paying us full time to work on these open source projects. And it's just really a lot of fun to be able to continue to make these tools better that everyone really depends on.
I'll direct this one to Dasha now. And Dan, no need to switch back and forth. I think I got your mic on lock because I'm looking at it. So thanks for sharing screen. I appreciate it. Dasha, this one's for you. Well, as a product manager, and with deeply embedded in the community, and this is your bailiwick. How do we prioritize what we work on next?
Right. That's a tricky part, but there is no single formula or source, of course. I call it like a constant listening loop through many ways and channels, as many as I can manage to find. So I will give you just some examples. Sources of feedback are user research, interviews. I sometimes stalk community users and just reach out to them and hey, I saw you posted this on GitHub. Would you like to give me some feedback? Sometimes I meet them and they do actually. So sometimes I meet them at the events, right? So that includes you go to the events and then you give me reports of what you heard. When I go to the events, I usually go to PyCon. I try to talk to as many people as I can, whether they're Conda users or Conda ecosystem tools users or in general Python packaging GitHub issues, of course, is like maybe the straight source where you can put in your feedback. Surveys, for example, Python Packaging Survey 2025. It's going on until December 31st, by the way.
Yeah.
And it is led by our own Dawn, with collaboration across like 30 stakeholders in the community. I think that's
It's a
crazy.
lot. And we're going to do it all again on
You see it.
2026 too. I forgot to put that one in the show notes, but I'll put that in the show notes if you want to take
That
a
one is great. And just, like broader ecosystem signals, like what's new workflows that is like new to Pythonistas, what their current needs, right? What like where the innovation and like ecosystem is going. So then I try to take all of that, and like if you zoom out, patterns will start to emerge.
Okay.
And the same pain points show up, similar ideas come across, and like basically that allows me and the team to tell when something is not just like one single person pain point or want, but it's a friction for like a chunk of users, or the need or like the direction where ecosystem is going. Yeah, and so that's pretty much, we look at that and prioritize it by, of course, like what is the most impactful or most annoying or most like great opportunity, future looking, and we start there, right? So that's where we try to prioritize in our roadmap, and start getting those done. Of course, like unfortunately, it's not 500 people working, so we must look at all of this input, extract patterns, and then like basically problems, right?
Yep.
And then the team and me, we think through how we what we can do to solve a problem, right? Not a specific little pain point or something.
Yeah. And I'm sure what we're working on now is informed by what we plan
Yes.
on working on several iterations later as well.
Yes.
So that makes total sense, and I appreciate you going into that more for me. And that might be a really good segue. Dan, I can take you off mute, and we can also talk about maybe we could dive into sharded repo data. So Dan, I'll kick it off to you, and then we could talk about sharded repo data, and if you also have any thoughts on how we prioritize what we work on. If I can do it, one moment.
Oh.
I don't know why it's not letting me do it. Button's not working. Dan, can you do it yourself? I don't know why it's not working on my button.
All right, I'm off mute now, I think.
All right, there we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so sharded repo data is a really exciting feature that we just delivered a week ago. And it was a cross-community effort, started a couple years ago, once again, with these enhancement proposals. Prefix actually implemented it in Pixie as well. And then we implemented it for Conda users and just delivered that, as well as turned it on and upgraded the Conda fork servers so they had sharded repo data as well. And what this is it allows, while you're go to install and packages or create an environment, it takes, for Conda, the way it works, it has to download all the metadata for all of those packages. It's all in a single large JSON file, and especially for Conda Forge, which has 30,000 packages with all its versions, that file is very large. And so it would take significant time every time a single package changed in that repo data. Your computer would have to re-download a whole new version of it. And so that made Conda feel really slow, because just to even start to solve your environment, and especially on slow internet connections, but really for everyone, it's really this drag where you had to wait and wait and wait for this repo data to be downloaded. So this sharded repo data goes out and looks at what you're trying to install in like a tree and looks at the dependencies of that thing you're trying to install and all their dependencies, and only downloads the little pieces of the repo data that it needs, this metadata. And so the download and the parsing of this metadata is now 10 times faster with sharded repo data turned on. And this is, this was on our roadmap for Q4. So that was all public. We were working on this. And this just doesn't benefit Conda users, but also Pixie users as well, because they get for Conda Forge. So they get to take advantage of that as well. So it's really this like community-wide effort that I think is gonna, everyone should be really excited about this.
And so now it's in beta phase. So I'll make a little like yes and I'll kick it to Dasha to tell me a little bit more about what this beta means. And then we also have a question. So kind of the yes and of it is, I've heard of sharded data, mostly in the database context, right? And so I understand, I kind of grok that it's a performance increase. Thanks, Dan, for walking through what exactly that means. And I hope that's a bit of a nerd bait for some people, that they hear about some of these improvements and the architectural decisions that we're making to address them, and they're interested in digging in more and maybe trying it out. But Dasha, can you tell me a little bit more about what this beta means? And then we'll jump to a question that we have in the chat.
Yeah, the beta basically consists of two parts. Conda CLI can now support this new sharded repo data format if you, the user of Conda, opt in, and we will provide instructions. There's like a little flag, maybe update the solver. And as part of this beta, also we worked for Anaconda.org to start serving this also new format, right? Sharded repo data for Conda Forge channel. So it is just one channel for now. And so Forge is serving sharded repo data. And, if you are a Conda user, you can opt in and that's it. Then you should start seeing speed improvements. If you're a Pixie or regular build user and you use Conda Forge and Anaconda.org, you don't need to do anything because those tools have this feature support by default already, as they started earlier, and you will benefit automatically using Conda Forge and Anaconda.org.
Awesome. So, sorry, Dan, I fat fingered it again. I put you on mute again. But do you want to dive into the demo? As you pull that up, I'll address the comment on from our from the chat. Statistically talking, what are the fastest growing PyPI libraries, and what are your strategic focuses on managing short-term? So in that context, PyPI is a different distribution from Conda Forge and Anaconda.org, right? So we are different ecosystems serving Python. And what we do in a lot of packages is we'll take some of the most popular packages and we'll change them from a wheel format, which is what you see on PyPI, and we move it over to a Conda format. And so you can find it on anaconda.org. So it's not all of the packages, it's the most important and popular packages. So definitely digging about the fastest growing libraries. And we also go out of our way to support
I'm sorry.
Libraries. Yeah.
Can we mute then?
Sorry.
I think you can still show the demo without the sound though, right?
Yeah, we're good. Cool.
Because I believe I'm struggling to hear what you're saying, Dom.
No worries. So just to kind of sum a little bit of that up is we are two different ecosystems. We definitely pay attention to what the most popular packages on PyPI are to bring over that wheel format to that Conda format. And special shout out, we have polars and lane graph now on Anaconda default distribution. People have been very, very excited about these projects. I've been really excited to play with polars. Just kind of a shout out to the team who are supporting some of the latest and greatest. We also, and we also got a note from Coastal 1991 more about Radler. So as we do the demo, we will also circle back around and talk a little bit about Radler. Dan, do you want to get going on the demo? So Dan is muted.
Woo.
I think if you're talking, Dan, and I'm not talking, it should be fine. So do you want to unmute?
Yeah, sorry I have some background noise, everyone. Yeah, so what this is showing on the left is no shards, and on the right is shards. And we'll run it again. So it happens pretty fast. So watch how fast the right side finishes. And there's little horses at the bottom racing. So yeah, so sharded repo data is now done, and how it worked before is still going. And what it's doing is I'm doing a cold cache, so there's no cache, and downloading environments with Conda in it, and then it's doing it again with a warm cache. So it's doing two operations, and you can see that significant, finally no shards finish, so that significant speed increase from.
Awesome. I love the horses racing at the bottom.
Yeah.
It makes it so clear. And I had to rearrange our screens so we could get the full effect. And I love it. That's great.
So the way you would install this, if we want to go there, so if you have a fresh Conda installation, you want to install an updated version of Conda libmamba solver. It's the component of Conda that contains the updates that include sharded repo data. Mm-hmm. And so you want a version that's, it came out in 25.11.0, so we're just saying we want a version greater than or equal to that, and we're putting it in the base environment. So this Conda install, this is the base environment of the name, and then we want an updated Conda libmamba solver. And if live demonstrations work here, we're going to do a Conda install of this newer one. This does not have sharded repo turned on yet because we don't have it yet. And then we're going to upgrade Conda libmamba solver. And then we need to do one more step, which is to config to use sharded repo data to true. So I'll remove the driver on here. So you type conda config --set plugins, use sharded repo data true, and this is in the blog post we're posting to. And this changes your Conda RC to enable sharded repo data. And then once you've done that, now you're going. So you can Conda create an environment using Conda Forge, because this is just for Conda Forge right now. Probably eventually we'll turn on a main as well. And all your operations can be significantly faster. You can see how fast that went to get all install the environment. So you have it 10 times faster, really amazing. And we'd love people to go test this out, give us beta feedback, tell us what you like, and hopefully you'll have fun with it.
And I love that this demo is also with Dan out in the wild too. So it is not on his home Wi-Fi. It's not plugged in with fiber optics. This is real. And on a live stream. So this is awesome. Could we can keep this up on the screen if we want, but we talk a little bit more about Radler and the relationship Radler has with our work and future work or recent work that we've done?
Yeah, of course. So Radler is a library that it's written in Rust. It was initially created by prefix.dev, and they do most of the work on it still. So it's this new, modern, built from scratch library that it actually includes more than just one thing. It's actually a collection of crates, which are how Rust divides up the different components for software. So it's a bunch of different parts of what makes up Pixie, for example, but it also includes, like, for example, a solver called Rattler Solver. So it is like we have a plugin for it where you could enable Rattler Solver with Conda itself. And as we go forward in 2026 in our roadmap, we're going to really lean into this even more. We have this partnership with Prefix. They're developing some amazing software, and we want all the Conda community to be able to benefit from those things. So Rattler supported sharded repo data before as well, and they do now, which is amazing. So all the users of Pixie can make use of that. But we really want to lean into that and make use of some of those Rattler components in Conda as well, because it should be able to help us really improve the performance overall in Conda beyond sharded repo data and improve the user experience overall. So yeah, we're really excited to work with Prefix.
Awesome. Great. So I think this is a really interesting segue into how we are breaking down some of the high walls in the ecosystem. We are reaching out for partnerships. I mean, we were already good friends in the ecosystem, but we've got an official partnership now. There's also a really interesting story with our relationship with PyPI. Kind of going back to the question someone asked before. And there's a cool project called Conda PyPI. I'll kick it to you, Dasha, first. Dasha, do you want to tell us a little bit about Conda PyPI?
Yes, sure. So Conda API is, you could also see that as one theme focus item from that first blog post we posted, and this will take some time because the problem is complex. But Conda API is a plugin that we are working on together. That the goal of that is to alleviate some of the pain points and make it easier for Conda users to interact with packages wheels, more specifically on PyPI.
Yeah.
And because let's be honest, everyone's done pip install in Conda environment and then, just like cross your fingers and hope to die. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it's chaos. Dependencies fighting, environments breaking, hours lost in debugging. So that's like the overarching problem we're trying to solve. We understand that sometimes packages Conda user need exist only on PyPI, and Conda channels did not have a chance to publish them, or maintainers didn't. But you also don't have to break your environment and sit in debugging for days because of that. So that's the overreaching theme. Now, it's a very complex problem, and we have actually 3 new blog posts that is like called Conda is not PyPI or something, and that I would really advise to read if you want to understand the difference. But yes, the goal is to make it safer for Conda users ecosystem to get packages from PyPI and use them in their workflows. And eventually, like the ultimate goal, right, is bring it to more like a native experience, right? Because from what I hear, of course there is PyPI, a huge index. There is Anaconda.org with channels of packages. And if we can somehow build a bridge that you use one tool and you can get all the packages you need, all the versions, like that's the dream. It's going to take time, but Conda PyPI plugin is the place where we're working on it. Like it's going to be one step at a time. And current state of it is not for production. It's more alpha than beta, but there is some cool workflows that already implemented that maybe then
awesome segue. Yay! Dan, you would, if you want to talk to what you're doing on screen, you will have to put yourself off mute again. If you don't mind. Maybe.
I'm off mute. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Dasha was saying, we have this Conda PyPI plugin, and you can kind of see this pattern. We've talked about this a couple of times, where a lot of the like innovative things we're working on, we do as plugins, and this really speaks extensibility of Conda, that we have these hooks that we can make modifications to Conda and experiment and create alpha and beta products more quickly without worrying that we're going to mess up something, for the 50 million users using like the base Conda itself. And then eventually some of these things will probably make their way into Conda. So the plugin's called Conda PyPI. You can install it. I'm going to actually use like a pre-production version, but it is on our main channel and CondaForge, so you can install from there. And you need to install it in your base environment. So this Conda Canary is something we use to test pre-development software. So I'm going to go ahead and install this in my base environment.
I like the reference to the canary. That's great.
Yeah, it helps us. That runs kind of daily, and it helps us be able to have new things in the channels to make sure our packages are like compatible with each other. So it's installing quite a bit of dependencies to work with the PyPI ecosystem, which is, as Dasha said, this is a complex problem to solve.
Understandable.
But as soon as it finishes going here, we're going to be able to run a new subcommand called Conda PyPI install. And what that subcommand does, if we create a new environment first, so we can create this one called test. That was the one I created before.
Yep.
And then once we have this environment created, I'll change the environment, and then we can actually install from PyPI wheels from there directly. So we'll activate this environment.
And I'll move us to the bottom of the screen so you can see. Yeah.
Let me clear, so move things back up. So we Conda PyPI install now.
Cool.
And if you have like a favorite wheel that you like, so like wheel is the name of a package, or like build, or we can test it with anything, but this is from PyPI itself. And hopefully this live demo works. But what it's doing is it's going and it's getting the wheel, converting it real time into a Conda package.
Wow.
And
okay.
then if there's dependencies it needs from Conda, it installs those dependencies as well. So if we look in our environment now, you can see that we have wheel installed, and it's a package from this ecosystem, right? And we can install, I don't know, some other. These are smaller packages, but you could install something. I don't know what this clear new line characters is, but
as I said, it's more alpha than
something broke. I'm not sure what that error is about, but we broke something. But go test it out. It is pretty cool, especially installing a wheel with Conda dependencies, and the version that I installed also allows you to. Some people are used to like the pip install editable -e workflow for like a development environment, and we have the same thing, but it's Conda PyPI install E for a directory. And so like if you're, say, we're working on Conda and we want to make an editable install of Conda itself because we're working on that, we can use this to create an editable installation, which is really amazing because it has a lot of advantages over pip installing directly in your Conda environment, because Conda is real-time converting it to a Conda package itself, and so then it can manage that package through its life cycle, and so you're much less likely to break your environment or something like that.
So my next question is with the Conda PyPI, and I'm going a little off script here, but like how does this interact with like pure Python and binaries and the advantages that the Conda ecosystem has when you're not working in just pure Python? Wheels, you're working in pure Python typically. Can you tell me a little bit more about, for people who may not be experts in the difference between the two indexes?
Yeah, for sure. And Dasha kind of hinted at this. There's a three-part blog post that like goes into this in detail if anyone wants to like really nerd out on it. But PyPI was really designed to be a software distribution site where you could download Python code and then compile the Python code and install it on your computer. And then over time, wheels were developed. Actually, Daniel Wolf, who's at my team at Anaconda, created the wheel format, which is the binary format that PyPI uses. And for pure Python wheels, it works the same way, except the Python is precompiled into the binary. But if you have some native dependency, something needs to be compiled, like C or C++, or Rust or Fortran, then you have to compile that thing and put all of those libraries in the wheel itself.
Mm-hmm.
Conda takes a little bit different approach. So each dependency is its own package. So if you want to install NumPy and Pandas, and maybe they're both depending on the same library, it will install that once and make that separate package a dependency. So it's more of a distribution that Conda provides with all these compiled in many different languages dependencies that we provide and ship, including like all the variants that we support for those. And it reuses the dependency many times. So if you have, NumPy and Pandas both depending on the same thing, it'll just install that once. On the PyPI side, because you have this wheel and it has to have all the dependencies, you have to build that wheel with all of its dependencies. And then if you have another wheel that also needs those same dependencies and puts those you're installing all of those again in that other wheel. So it's just kind of like a different approach. And I think this is like a really nice thing that we can provide for the pure Python wheels to allow everyone to have much greater access to wheels that exist that we don't have Conda packages for, but you can also take advantage of these Conda dependencies for the compiled dependencies you need. So it's like a really good mix of the two.
Interesting. And so the feedback for sharded repo data, we're looking for that to happen. So there's conversations in Zulip, and then feedback happens in GitHub issues. For Conda PyPI, same deal. Conversations happen on Zulip and feedback happen in GitHub issues as well.
Yeah, we'd love that. So if you're trying to install wheels, if you're doing editable installs, same thing on Zulip or open an issue if something's not working. It's still early days, but I think what's there is really fun to work with. So yeah.
Maybe Don, you can add to show notes Conda PyPI.
Okay.
Link because it's an incubator, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, it's specific. We can add it.
I love it. So I think that's the last demo we have, but what I'm really excited to get into, bringing back the human element of it. So we can take your screen off stage, Dan. Unless there's something else you'd like to share?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, cool. We'll bring back the human element of it. And I'd love to talk about the team offsite that we just had. So I'll take you off screen. There you go. Perfect. I'd love to talk a little bit more about the team offsite you all just did. What were some themes that popped up?
Yeah, so we talked about like the team size, and Dasha and I working with this team of engineers. Everyone is remote, and we live around the world. So there's people up in Vancouver and people in Texas and Florida. I'm in Michigan, and then there's also folks in Berlin. And one of the engineers working out of Norway for the last quarter. So everyone's kind of spread out, and this open source nature of the way we work, I think, and the asynchronous way really caters to this like fully remote work. So it's a lot of fun being able to work with everyone in different locations. But every once in a while, we need to get together in person and see each other and kind of make those human connections and get to know each other even more deeply and talk about some of like the important things like planning and roadmaps, get to work on some software together and just generally have some fun together as well. So we went to Malaga, Spain, a few weeks ago for a week, and we chose that place because it was actually one of the cheaper places for us to go from both the U.S. and from Germany and Norway. But it really, it was amazing going to Spain and really had some amazing conversations. Great work got done. So yeah, had a really good time.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
what was your advantage of the offsite, Dasha?
Yeah, it was great. My favorite part, I guess, was I was thinking like, okay, how can I like be really help us to think about our vision and plan for 2026. So I had this like long presentation. I overtook all then had like a plan and schedule. I just like destroyed it. But my favorite part was I was presenting like user research that I have been doing, and like I would put specific people I talked to in their life stories with like their tools, and like that's not always Conda, right? It's like just Pythonistas in their different use cases and places and workflows. And I think that was the most fun for me because like the team, sometimes is like, wow, people use Conda in really weird ways. Oh, I didn't know that. And like I could see that the things start turning because like they were able to see like actual real world human right story of how they use Conda, what they have to do to get to um, where they're going, basically using Conda as a tool or other tools. And so I think I could feel that this just like makes them think and helps them understand and connect how, because they do the work, and it's not always obvious to like, is this even you know helping anyone or how, and like seeing these pain points or the needs or the workflows just connect what they do to real humans, real users behind it. And I think most of the people I talked to, and I made sure I put it on the presentation, said things like, can you please tell the maintainers team a huge thank you for their work? We just want them to know that this is super important. They work on this open source project, and we understand, some of them, how hard it is. And I think that was really important for them to hear because, most of the time, all you hear is complaints or something is broken, and like, why you like not doing this or right. But real users and their quotes of like appreciation, because it's hard work. So yeah.
I think many open source maintainers, authors, maintainers can resonate with the idea, especially with such low level support that we are offering with Conda and Anaconda as a platform. It's critical infrastructure.
Yep.
And when it goes wrong, or when there's issues or hiccups or beta features that we want to be production ready already, we get some of those nits and feedback, and critical, they're really important. Keep bringing them, keep bringing the critiques, because we can't improve without that feedback. But it's also really nice to sometimes get like faces and smiles and thank yous. So thank your maintainers, y'all, not just your Conda maintainers. Thank your
Open source
maintainers.
maintainers, yeah.
Awesome. Well, so I have some notes and some things that I wanted to highlight off of the offsite from our previous conversations. But I know that some of our goals are making sure that Conda is blazingly fast and have an exceptional user experience. Can you touch on in the last maybe it's the last maybe 45 seconds. Can you talk on that a little bit more before we say goodbye?
Yeah, we can real quick, but no worries. We're gonna post it on blog post. Okay, so please stay tuned. But yeah, for the next year, awesome user experience, and just like few words about that. Errors that maybe actually point to things that can help you figure out how to fix it, and not just a wall of text. some better or clearer indication of progress where possible, right? As you saw, just general, more human-centered CLI that feels helpful in the help text or in the outputs, highlights things for you. So like a contemporary modern CLI UX best practices, that is what we want to work on next year. And speed or performance is like one big topic because it's definitely one of the things I hear across the board. So sharded repo data is a great start and it's already much better, but that's not it. So next year we will be looking and finding, I'm sure, more parts of speeding up that experience. I will hand off to Dan to continue.
Yeah. Dan, let's talk.
Yeah, maybe, like big picture, we want to take bold steps with Conda next year. So Dasha talked about, blazingly fast, exceptional user experience. And so like all of these like workflows and like, how we have log files and all these kind of like little experience things we want to make amazing. So bold steps next year. Maybe I'll leave it at that. And stay tuned for like the rest of our roadmap that we publish.
Yeah, it's got to go through governance and steps first. Can't spill all of the beans, but I know a lot of things are in the works and in partnership with our ecosystem. I'm so excited to be on the outside watching it and get to try some of these beta and alpha features. And that's it for our call today. So I want to say thank you to everyone watching. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dasha, for being on the first live stream episode of Numerically Speaking. And I want to say directly to the audience watching, I see a number of you all stayed the whole way through. Yay! We'll be back next month, February 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And we got some more good conversations our way. So like, comment, subscribe. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.